Have you ever felt like you're just stuck on a financial treadmill? I mean, you're working hard, you're making decent money, but you're just not getting anywhere? Well, today, we're going to get you off that treadmill for good. We are going to break down the 4 specific levels you have to conquer on your way to $1 million. And I'll show you why just figuring out which level you're on right now is the single most powerful financial move you can possibly make.
You know that feeling, right? That little rush when your paycheck hits the bank? For just a second, you feel like you're on top of the world. But then, life happens. And before you know it, you're back to that familiar anxiety, carefully checking your balance before you even think about going to the grocery store, wondering where it all went. It is an absolutely exhausting cycle.
And see, that's the real trap, isn't it? You're not actually broke, but you're definitely not secure either. You're just stuck. Stuck in this financial limbo where you're paying the bills, but you're never, ever getting ahead. It feels like you're running a race, but the finish line just keeps moving further and further away.
And from that stuck place, $1 million? Psh, it doesn't just feel far away, it feels like it's on a completely different planet, a destination you can see, but there are no roads to get there. But here's the secret. Getting there isn't one giant, impossible leap. It's a series of 4 distinct levels, and each one has its own unique playbook.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by totally shattering the biggest myth about getting rich. Then we'll walk through each of the 4 levels. Survival, where you build your foundation. Momentum, where you start to see real progress. Acceleration, where things get really exciting. And finally, power, where you're right on the doorstep. And you're going to want to stick around to the end, because we're going to reveal the one secret that underpins this entire journey.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the biggest lie out there, that building wealth is some kind of giant leap. It's not. It's a ladder. And here's where so many people mess up. They try to use the wrong tools for the wrong rung. They're trying to use a level 3 acceleration strategy when they're still down on level 1. And that, my friends, is a guaranteed recipe for failure.
All right, let's dive into level 1 financial survival. We're talking about a net worth somewhere between 0 and 10,000 bucks. And let's be real, this is where most people are or have been, even if they have what you'd call a good job. This is the starting line. And if you don't believe me, just look at this number. This should be a massive wake-up call. A staggering 60% of Americans would have to go into debt to cover a simple $1,000 emergency. Just let that sink in for a second. That means the majority of the country is living on a financial knife's edge, one flat tire away from a total crisis.
The real battle at this level isn't even about the money in your bank account. It's about what's happening in your head. It's something called the scarcity mindset. It's basically your brain's survival mode kicking in. When you're constantly worried about money, your brain literally cannot think long-term. It's impossible to plan for retirement in 30 years when your brain is screaming about the rent that's due in 3 days.
This quote just nails it perfectly. Trying to get rich when you're in financial survival mode? It's like trying to pick out new curtains while your house is burning down around you. It makes no sense. You have to put the fire out first. All the fancy investing tips in the world are completely useless until you've handled the immediate emergency. And let's look at the hard math here. This is the brutal reality for a ton of people. You start with $3,500 in take-home pay. Then, boom, there goes rent. Boom, car payment. Boom, food and utilities. And by the end of the month, what's left over? A big, fat 0. This is exactly why your goal at level 1 has nothing to do with investing. It is about one thing and one thing only, creating some breathing room.
So how do you break out of level 1? It's not magic, it's about taking back control. First, you become a detective. You track every single dollar for 1 month to see where it's all going. Second, you go on offense. Find a way, any way, to bring in a few hundred extra bucks a month. Third, you build your defenses. Automate your savings so that money is out of sight, out of mind. And finally, you declare war on high-interest debt. This isn't about getting rich quick, it's about getting free.
Okay, once you've gotten free, you graduate to level 2, building momentum. This is where your net worth is somewhere between 10 grand and 100 grand. And honestly, this is where a lot of people who are good with money get comfortable and stay for a very long time.
Now, pay very close attention here, because this is probably the most important concept for this level. At level 2, you are the engine of your wealth. The growth comes from your hard work, from how much you earn and how much you save. It's not about what your investments are doing. How much you save is infinitely more important than the return you're getting on it at this stage.
And this is where that treadmill feeling really comes back. You're doing everything right, you're saving, you're being responsible, but it just feels so slow. It's like planting a tiny little sapling and then going out every morning and being disappointed it's not a giant oak tree yet.
Level 2 is a brutal test of patience. You just have to trust the process, even when it feels incredibly boring.
So, what's the game plan for level 2? First, you get aggressive. Push that savings rate up to 20, maybe even 30%. Second, and this is a big one, you never, ever leave free money on the table. Max out that employer match. Third, you have to fight lifestyle inflation like your life depends on it. Every time you get a raise, just pretend it never happened and invest it all. And finally, the best investment you can make is in yourself. Build the skills that get you to that next pay grade.
And now, we get to the fun part. Welcome to Level 3, the acceleration point. This is where you blast past that six-figure mark and start sprinting towards $500,000. This is where the magic of compounding finally stops being a boring chart in a textbook and starts changing your life.
Let's watch it happen. The moment you hit $100,000, an average 8% return means your money is now making you an extra $8,000 a year. That's $8,000 you did nothing for. Money that showed up while you were sleeping. For the first time ever, your money is working for you.
Then, you hit $250,000. All of a sudden, that 8% is generating $20,000 a year. This is a massive psychological shift. This is the moment where, for the first time, your investments can actually earn more in a year than you can save. That's a total game changer. And then you get to $500,000. Now your portfolio is an absolute powerhouse, kicking off $40,000 a year, all by itself. Think about that. Your money is now earning a full-time salary, working for you 24/7. You have officially built a wealth-generating machine.
But listen, this is also the most dangerous level. Because you can see the finish line, the temptation to just go for it is overwhelming. This is where people get greedy. They start day trading, chasing meme stocks, gambling on crypto. The biggest enemy here is your own impatience. Your job is to play defense, stay the course. Your number one priority is to protect yourself from making one dumb mistake that could send you right back to level 2.
And that brings us to the final climb, level 4, pre-millionaire power. Your net worth is between $500,000 and just shy of $1 million. That abstract dream of financial freedom, it starts to feel incredibly real. You can almost taste it. This is where you have the power to make some serious, life-altering decisions.
I mean, just look at the raw power here. At $500,000, your money's making you $40,000 a year. At $750K, it's making you $60,000. By the time you hit $1 million, your investments are earning you $80,000 a year. This isn't just growth anymore, it's an explosion. Your job here shifts from offense to defense. You start thinking about optimizing taxes and protecting everything you've worked so hard to build. So, we've climbed this whole ladder, from zero all the way to the edge of $1 million. But what's the real secret to all of this? I promise you, it is not what you think it is. Look, the path to $1 million has almost nothing to do with picking the right stock or finding some secret investment. It's about mastering a specific emotional skill at every single level. At level 1, it's all about the raw grit of control. At level 2, it's the quiet strength of discipline. At level 3, it's the deep wisdom of patience. And at level 4, it's the fierce instinct for protection.
And here it is, the simple, unsexy truth. Real, lasting wealth is built in the boring moments. It's built on consistency, on systems, and on a complete and total lack of drama. It's about mastering your own psychology, your fear, your greed, your ego. You don't have to be a genius to get rich. You just have to be sane.
So now you have the map. You know the 4 levels, and I'm willing to bet you have a pretty clear idea of exactly where you're standing right now. So the only question left is the one right here. You've got the knowledge, you know your level. So what are you going to do about it? What is your very next move?